Today, we're diving into a 2,000-year-old blueprint for a community, one that was forged in conflict. It comes from the ancient texts of Luke Acts, and it lays out a pretty radical vision for what it means to belong. So let's see what we can learn from it.
Right from the jump, the story frames the arrival of Jesus not in universal peace, but in division. A prophet actually looks at the infant Jesus and says he will be a sign that is opposed. That really sets the stage for all the conflict to come. And that's really the central question, isn't it? Why would a movement all about hope cause so much immediate friction? This tension between hope and opposition is what shapes the entire identity of this new community. Well, the answer begins with a stark reality. For this new community, deciding to follow Jesus meant accepting a life of constant pressure. It wasn't some optional extra, it was, part of the deal. What's crucial to understand is that this wasn't some breakaway movement by choice. His followers genuinely saw themselves as the fulfillment of Israel's ancient hope, but the intense pressure from religious and political leaders pretty much forced them to become their own distinct community, one literally forged in the crucible of conflict. So that brings up a really important question. If you're building a community that's always under pressure, what does it actually take to belong? What are the non-negotiables, the core requirements of being a disciple? The first thing is a pretty radical shift in trust. It's all about moving away from that anxiety over daily stuff, like what you're going to eat or wear, and shifting to a total dependence on God. It's this belief that He's got you covered. And this isn't just a one-time decision, it's an ongoing daily faith. And this leads us to what is, honestly, one of the most jarring and challenging requirements of them all. A demand for a commitment so total that it sounds absolutely shocking to us today. How on earth are we supposed to understand this call to hate your own family? Okay, so this is not a call for literal emotional hatred. Instead, what the source material explains is that this is a form of oriental contrast. It's a rhetorical device that was common in that culture. The idea is that your love and devotion for God must be so absolute, so all-encompassing, that every other loyalty, even to your closest family, looks like hate in comparison. It's a complete, radical reprioritization of your entire life.
And this kind of commitment is meant to be a daily thing. We have to remember, when the first disciples heard, "Take up your cross," it didn't mean carrying a burden. It meant one thing, a walk to a brutal execution. So the call isn't necessarily to physical martyrdom, but to a daily act of dying to your own wants, your own agenda, and putting God's first.
Now, this community wasn't designed to be some exclusive, inward-looking club, not at all. It had a very clear external purpose that really drove everything that it did.
The community's mission was basically a mirror image of Jesus' own mission, an outward-reaching focus on the people society had marginalized or completely written off. Think tax collectors and others who were just labeled sinners.
To really drive this point home, Luke uses a series of stories, or parables. First up, there's the lost sheep. A shepherd has 100 sheep, but when just one of them wanders off, he leaves the other 99 to go find that single one. Then, the stakes get a little higher. It's the parable of the lost coin. A woman has 10 coins. This was likely her whole life savings. And when she loses just one, she tears her entire house apart until she finds it. And finally, the most powerful example of all, the parable of the lost son. Here, a father has only 2 sons. When one is lost and then returns, the celebration is just extravagant. See the pattern? 1 in 100, 1 in 10, 1 in 2. The numbers get smaller, which means the value of each lost individual just gets higher and higher. It's a powerful way to show how much God values every single person. So becoming a disciple was a huge, radical call. But it was also a marathon, not a sprint. And the text is really honest about the real-world challenges people would face on that journey. Luke's gospel warns about 3 specific things that can trip people up. First, the danger of money and possessions. How they can basically become a rival god in your life. Second, the fear of people. Caring more about your social standing than about the mission. And third, just the simple, grinding weight of everyday worries that can choke out your faith.
And yet the answer to all this anxiety isn't to worry more or to just work harder. The answer is to refocus. It's a call to trust that your Father in heaven already knows exactly what you need, and it comes with a promise. If you put His kingdom first, He'll take care of the rest. Okay, this brings up a huge question for the community. What about the future? Specifically, the timing of Jesus' promised return. How are they supposed to live in the meantime? It required a very particular kind of watchfulness.
To help them navigate this, the Gospels actually balance 3 different kinds of teachings. First, you have the imminent sayings, the ones that say, stay ready, it could be any time. Then you have interval sayings, which explain that certain things have to happen first. And finally, you get ignorant sayings, reminding everyone that, hey, no one knows the exact day or hour. The point of all 3 was to create a community that was always prepared, but also patient and humble.
So, when you put all these pieces together, the pressure, the commitment, the mission, the long-haul endurance, what's the ultimate takeaway? What is the core message that Luke is trying to give to his readers, like the guy named Theophilus the book is actually addressed to?
Well, despite all the hardship, you'd be surprised. The core message is overwhelmingly one of joy. Seriously, words like joy and praise are all over the text. They tie the difficulty of the mission directly to the celebration of God's plan and the success of reaching people. And this is the final reassurance. Luke's message is basically saying, look, God's plan is at work. Those old barriers that used to divide people, they're gone. Anyone, no matter their background, can belong here. Yes, this path is hard, but it is absolutely full of rich blessings. And at the very heart of it all is Jesus.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. This ancient blueprint was designed for a specific community in a specific time. But in our world today, which is still searching for real community, for belonging, for purpose, it makes you wonder, what lessons might we still be able to draw from it?